It's at noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital. Well, maybe not. That looks like the West Coast to me. And this is CarEdge Live for Monday, September 29th, with your host, me, Ray, in Ventnor City, and Zach. I believe he's in Washington, D.C., but that sort of kind of looks like the left coast. Could that be the Pacific Ocean over your shoulder?
Got Muir Woods behind me this morning. Pops just decided I wanted to be there. Dad, today's show is brought to you by CarEdge.com. A friendly reminder, folks, we're trying to end our September strong. So we've got 20% off CarEdge Insights, which are the tools we use to negotiate the best possible deals on behalf of our customers. Well, you can get your hands on those for 20% off and 20% off our car buying services. If you are not familiar with our car buying services, you should be. We've got an incredible team that every single day works on behalf of customers to help them navigate the car buying process, get them the best deal, makes it so you don't have to deal with the dealership, and our team does it instead. Check it out back at CarEdge.com. And do me a favor, folks, learn more about our promotion going on right now. You support our business, we help you. It is the elusive win-win. Dad, Today we're going to be talking about automakers going out of business, and we need to start here. Jaguar Land Rover seeks $2.7 billion lifeline after cyber attack on top of a $2 billion loan guarantee from the UK government. This is the first of a few automakers we're going to talk about this morning or this afternoon, but JLR, Dad, in desperate trouble right now, looking for a nearly $3 billion lifeline. And if I'm not mistaken, 2025 was the year they were taking off, not actually producing vehicles. So just a really bad situation here for Jaguar Land Rover.
They weren't producing Jaguars this year, but they were producing the always popular and overpriced Land Rovers of every variety that they could. Yep. The fact that they need $4.7 billion lifeline between the $2 billion loan guarantee from the United Kingdom government and $2.7 billion in credit available from some other lending institutions. My God, I could get by with a lot less. If somebody wants to just start handing out money, they could hand out, I don't know, $1.5 million would be fine for me. And you could save the other billions. It is a situation, unfortunately, for England's largest auto manufacturer, where timing is everything in life, and their timing has been suspect at best recently, and between the cyber attacks and Jaguar taking the year off, they are having a difficult time. You would suspect from the $2 billion loan guarantee from the government that, at least in Britain, they're too big to fail.
Seems that way. Now, Dad, it's worth mentioning that cyber attack has taken Jaguar and Land Rover production offline for almost 2 months now. And just a couple hours ago, the BBC was reporting that they are on the cusp of actually being able to start production again. So imagine that. You're taking the year off over on the Jaguar side. We still know Land Rovers, for the most part, are selling well with price premiums here in the United States and internationally. But then production is down for almost 2 months as a result of a cyber attack. Yeah, they really, the Nissan story, because Nissan's another one of the automakers we're going to talk about that has the potential to go out of business. Like, the Nissan story is a little more cut and dry. The cars aren't selling, and they have to cut back on all of the capacity they have to save money. JLR, man, they've just kind of been taking their lumps this year is really what it looks like.
Every now and then CEOs make a bet, and sometimes it's the wrong bet. And it just appears to me, with everything that is going on globally in regards to electric vehicles, full battery electric vehicles,
which was the Jaguar push. We're going to be,
the reason we took the year off is because we were going to come back as a full battery electric vehicle company in 2026. The timing appears to be off when it comes to that. Every other manufacturer out there is looking or appears to be pivoting away from full battery electric vehicles because the demand isn't quite what everybody had suspected or had hoped it would be by now. That is not to say that EVs are not selling. To a certain extent, they are. EVs will probably have in the United States the best month that they've ever had this month.
Yeah.
Might have something to do with the fact that the federal tax credits expire tomorrow at midnight. So there is a market for EVs. It just seems to me that Jaguar miscalculated when it comes to what the market is and how strong the market is.
So Jaguar, they may be going out of business. Land Rover, I don't see that one happening as much, but I mean, a couple months of production offline and now dead again. It's not like this loan is just for Jaguar. The headline in automotive news is about Jaguar and Land Rover needing a $2.7 billion lifeline. Their words, not mine. All right. So there you go, folks. That's one and maybe two brands that could be singing the Sayonara song relatively soon. Nissan and Mitsubishi are two other brands I wanted to bring up today, Dad, that could be on the cusp of going out of business. We think with Nissan, however, they'll sustain themselves some way, shape, or form. But even if you look at just the AI overview over here on Google Land, is Nissan going to go out of business in 2025? They say no. But how many years in a row can you be losing $4 to $5 billion while your sales are slumping internationally, and most importantly, in your most profitable market, the United States, or your largest market, least profitable market, the United States? And they also recently, Dad, to your point around EVs, they stopped production of the Nissan Ariya, saying they're going to pause production of that. Mitsubishi, we know, is struggling here in the United States as well. And then there are a handful of Stellantis brands like Alfa Romeo and Maserati that we know are struggling desperately here in the US as well. So there are a handful of automakers, obviously the headline today being the nearly $3 billion lifeline that Jaguar Land Rover is looking for, but there are many automakers that could be looking into the sunset relatively soon.
It has become a struggle for many manufacturers.
Yeah.
And you can almost see the handwriting on the wall, back 4 or 5 years ago, when it was like every day we were reading about another 30, 40, $50 billion commitment towards battery electric vehicles from this manufacturer or that manufacturer. And I remember the commitments when they were all added together were approaching like $500 billion that all these manufacturers were putting towards battery electric vehicles. Obviously they didn't spend all the money on it. Obviously, obviously some backtracked beforehand. Others, like Jaguar's bet. Others, it's just the timing is really miserable for them. Would I suspect that Jaguar Land Rover will go out of business? I don't. Do I think they'll struggle for years? I think so. How long and how many billions of dollars of guarantees will the British government have to give them? It is a bad sign when your largest automobile manufacturer is on the brink of going out of business. So that I suspect the government will continue to do whatever they can do to make sure that does not happen. You look at Nissan. Will Nissan go out of business? Somebody will take them over. Somebody will make. Will they consolidate with some other manufacturer? Perhaps. There is some type of alternative fuel universe out there that everybody's trying to get to. And a lot of people think it's just battery electric. I think it might be other things. But will the directions that we're going indicate that many of the legacy manufacturers are going to struggle for years to come? And I think that very well may be the case. Will there be some real severe consolidation? I would think so.
Yep.
who Nissan consolidates with, I don't. It's like when there are brands that go out of business in this country. Okay, in the storefronts go and they close, and yet somebody buys the web address, and then Sharper Image was one, and then okay, they just become a website where you can buy stuff. Will that will Nissan become somebody just buys the web address? I don't know.
You're losing me a little bit, Pops. Let me get this train back on the tracks if that's
Could you
okay.
please?
We do have some suppliers filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. I think this is really interesting because we have now, over the past couple of months, seen dealership groups, so the people that actually retail and sell cars, them go bankrupt. And now we're seeing more and more pressure on suppliers, Fram and Trico. Now, these brands, Dad, Trico's more on like the windshield wiper space, and Fram, if I'm not mistaken, let's look here. Where was it?
Oil filters and stuff?
Yeah, oil filters, brake solutions, filtration products. We're not talking about small businesses, though, Dad. 1.1 billion in debtor in possession financing. So like these are massive. First Brands has $6 billion in debt on their balance sheet. I mean, these are massive companies that are suppliers to the auto industry, whether it be manufacturers or to the broader industry. And they are going out of business. And we have seen, Dad, many surveys that talk about the financial distress of companies in the auto industry. And so we can't have a conversation about automakers going out of business without acknowledging the fact that there are suppliers every single day in financial ruin and ultimately leading to bankruptcy protection. So this is a broader conversation around there's just an auto industry in flux and a lot of consolidation. I like that word. A lot of consolidation that is likely to happen, whether it be horizontal integration, vertical integration. Like the auto industry is going to look different in the 2030s as a result of all these decisions. To your point, pushing strategies towards EVs, the chip shortage, car prices going crazy, affordability. The auto industry is going to look different a decade from now because of it.
I would suspect so, and you have to realize that a lot of these suppliers, these part suppliers, they work on very thin margins. They can't afford, for instance, like when Jaguar and Land Rover shuts down production
For a year,
almost 2 months,
or
where that becomes a massive struggle for these suppliers. And then tariffs have not helped because in many cases the suppliers have tried their best to mitigate as much of the tariff problems as they can, and it is cutting into their profit margins. And there's only so long that these either suppliers or manufacturers, the automobile manufacturers can continue to do that before they just have to finally start raising prices. So it's everything is kind of tied together. We sort of kind of had a conversation, you and I, earlier today in regards, and we touched on this last week, that Ford has decided, in an effort to sell more F-150s in the third quarter, that they would ease lending guidelines for people with the lower and credit, credit tiers.
Yep.
Even some subprime customers, and still offer them specialized incentives and interest rates. And my rationale for it is that the pool of customers has shrunk so much that they need to expand that pool. And the way they're doing it is they're making, at least attempting to make something seem more affordable to those who don't handle their credit well. And that to me is the broader topic that just really indicates that many of these manufacturers, Nissan is another, are looking at it and going, we don't have enough qualified people to sell to.
And think about your earlier comment, right? Suppliers are already on thin margins. You increase their cost infrastructure, they start to go out of business. That's the Chapter 11 bankruptcy that we just had up on the screen. They start to go out of business. Maybe if you're a well-capitalized automaker and you want to vertically integrate, maybe you start to acquire those assets. Maybe you start to own more of your manufacturing process, and then you could actually boost your margins. But on the automaker side, it's not like they have booming businesses right now. Maybe Toyota is the exception to that rule. Like your Ford, Dad, your business has actually been struggling for the past 5 years because of exactly what you just described, the affordability crisis, the need to incentivize. And now how's that manifesting itself? Well, we're seeing them offer these kind of ridiculous subvented interest rate programs to customers who, quite frankly, don't qualify for it, or at least traditionally haven't. So it's like there's a whole web here of interconnectedness, and a lot of it does tie back to affordability and profitability.
Well, and trying to make things affordable or appear to be affordable to people by subventing the interest rate. It is not the captive lender that eats that. Okay. That is underwritten by the manufacturer. So when Ford does these things and they offer the subvented interest rates,
subvented meaning the 0%, 0.9%, 1.9%. Yeah.
The artificially low interest rates, they are basically agreeing to stroke a check to their captive lender for the cost of doing that. So if it's costing Ford thousands upon thousands of dollars in specialized interest rates, that means that they don't have money elsewhere to do other things. As their profit margins have shrunk, and many of the manufacturers have admitted to this, that the profit margins had been double digit, 10 to 12%, and in many cases they've been cut in half because of increased costs for any number of reasons, but one of the main reasons is the increased tariff costs. That means if the profit margin's lower, then ultimately there's less money coming in that would allow them to do other things.
Yeah.
So as much as some of these manufacturers might like to buy Fram and others, they might not have the money at the moment to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really, it's kind of, we're on a slippery slope here.
What's the it's the Warren Buffett quote. It's like, when the tide goes out, you see who's wearing their swim trunks or something like that. Like that's kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming nude. Yeah.
Kind of what's happening right now. Dad, let's come to the chat. Matthew, we really appreciate the kind contribution. If you think your Land Rover was a citrus fruit, I think he's talking about a lemon, before this, just wait until you have the opportunity to buy a post-shutdown car. Cue the lawyers. Yeah, Dad, would you be like recommending to people, hey, buy the first new post 2-month shutdown production Jaguar Land Rover?
Well, I would have never advised anybody to buy either one of those products, even if they didn't have these issues. When I worked for the Penske organization in North Scottsdale, and our campus, we had Jaguar, we had Land Rover, and we used to, I used to be able to joke with the GM of the Land Rover store, that. And he would tell me, he said, yeah, if our customers want to be able to drive a Land Rover 7 days a week, they need to own 2 or 3 of them, because 1 or 2 of them is going to be in the shop every week. So it's just, they've never been known for their quality.
Yeah.
They've been known to be expensive, and they've been known to be luxurious, and they've been known to be a wealthier person's niche type vehicle.
Totally.
But they've never been known for their quality. So,
reliability. I think quality is subjective. The reliability.
Well, both. Well, yeah, okay. So yeah, to Matthew's point, it'll be interesting to see just how bad these things. The funniest thing to me was when our Land Rover store, they would put together caravans where they would actually go out in the desert.
Wow.
And they would, with other Land Rover owners. And I was thinking to myself, how many tow trucks did they have to take with them in case some of these actually broke down when they were out in the desert? So it's just, do you really want to go off-roading in something that, well, it might be the one and only time it ever goes off-road?
Dad, we had a question come in here. From Luna Chiquas06, in regards to the car buying service, would I be able to lock in that price now but use the service in November? Absolutely. I encourage folks to take advantage of this. Go back to CarEdge.com. We're running a 20% off promotion right now. Lock in the price. Our team is not going anywhere. We'll be able to help you, whether it be in end of September here, like you're trying to get that EV before end of day tomorrow, all the way through something in October, November, December. We are here. Q4 is when we're going to be able to get folks the best possible deals. So absolutely take advantage of this promotional offer back at CarEdge.com today, and you can use it, between now and the end of the year. Dad, I also want to pull up here. This was from earlier in the show, Igor. My insider information from Land Rover Jaguar told me that it wasn't a fake story of a cyber attack. It was a lack of funding. There you go. So who knows? Who knows what's actually going on over there at JLR? That's from Igor sharing his insider info. Shall we switch gears, Pops?
Yeah. Do you know how to shift?
I do know how to shift. We're shifting over here to Cox Automotive. They do these weekly auto market summaries.
Yes.
And there was something in here, Dad, that I think deserves some of our attention, which is consumer spending continues to defy expectations of slowing, but September sentiment suggests all is not well. So I'm going to come all the way down here to consumer sentiment. And we're just going to read through some of these things because I think it speaks volumes to what you're talking about, which is affordability and things like that. So consumer sentiment deteriorated in September. The sentiment index from the University of Michigan decreased 5.3% in September to 55.1, which was slightly lower than expected and marked a decrease from the earlier reading at the beginning of the month. The index was down 21.4% year over year. The underlying views of current conditions and future expectations both declined, with future expectations declining the most. Expectations for inflation in 1 year decreased to 4.7% from 4.8%, but expectations for inflation in 5 years increased to 3.7%. Consumers' views of buying conditions for vehicles declined slightly to the lowest level in 4 months as views of prices deteriorated. So you can see it right there, Dad. The expectations or the sentiment from consumers is also off. So we've got these automakers struggling. We've got the the suppliers struggling. And then you've got consumer sentiment kind of in a really rocky position right now.
It's all interconnected, and I keep referring to it as a pool of customers. And the pool of customers who can afford to buy things keeps actually shrinking. What isn't shrinking is the availability of vehicles for that pool of customers to buy.
Yeah, you got growing inventory.
Yes. So as inventory grows and the number of people who might be interested in buying it shrinks, well, then it becomes less cost effective for each manufacturer because they have to spend more to incentivize whatever customer comes in to look at their vehicle to actually buy it. And the reality is we need that pool of customers to expand, but we don't need it to expand because we are artificially lowering interest rates for poor credit-worthy people in order to buy those items. We need to increase the pool by actually lowering prices of vehicles and making more affordable vehicles available to a larger group of people. And so I think that's where the manufacturers are missing it. You can't, part of the conversation you and I had earlier today was you can't take subprime borrowers and ask them to take on $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 loans, even at artificially cheap interest rates, and expect that they're actually going to make those payments. The number of first payment defaults that we will see going forward with Ford for those F-150s, for those poor quality credit customers, will be significantly higher than what they've experienced in the past. And a first payment default is someone that gets into a loan and doesn't even make the first payment when it comes 45 days from now. Those numbers will be staggeringly high when these people realize, hell, even at that cheap interest rate, I really can't afford this $850 a month car payment. And well, since I can't afford it, I'm not going to make it, and I'll just keep driving this damn truck till they come and pick it up. So it's just we're the manufacturers are going about it in the wrong way to encourage more people to buy cars when they really can't afford them. They need to make more affordable cars for those people to be able to buy.
And
in my opinion.
Just pulling it back up, I mean, that what you've been referencing a couple times in today's show, this was documented by the Wall Street Journal. Ford lowers F-150 interest rates for subprime buyers, to boost sales. So it's exactly what you just said, summarized there in that headline. And then again, I think what exacerbates this, Dad, is you have literally the suppliers going out of business because they can't make enough money. I can try and pull it up here, but Automotive News did that recent sentiment survey for suppliers, and the financial health of suppliers is the worst it's been in a long time. So it's you can scream from the pulpit, hey, we need more affordable vehicles. And to a degree, we're seeing the automaker agree with that, right? They're trying to make the vehicles, quote unquote, more affordable by giving you a lower monthly payment. But if you need more affordable vehicles, you probably need cheaper inputs, like cheaper parts, cheaper components. That's where this hits, which is, well, those are actually, those manufacturers of those parts are actually going out of business. And then you see more broadly an oversupply starting to happen again. This is why Nissan's shutting down plants globally. And we see, Stellantis, for example, last week announcing the shutdown of some of their plants in Europe. And we saw General Motors. They said it was supplier related, parts related, but General Motors has shut down production of some of their plants here domestically in the United States. So again, it's that whole interconnected web here. And yes, it all does come back to affordability, but you can start to see and paint the picture for why it's not as easy as snapping your fingers and having cheaper cars to sell. This should ultimately drive, Dad, towards lower content vehicles that do not have as many components or gizmos or widgets or whatever, gadgets, because those actually will be cheaper to produce and should be able to meet consumers where they are.
One would hope. Is
that Jaguars why they took the year off? They're going to come back with less gizmos and whiz-bang things? I don't think so.
Well, that wasn't their plan. Their plan was to be appealing to a more affluent, younger clientele. Not sure who they are and how many of those electric Jaguars they're going to go out there looking to buy. There's a difference between trying to make a car payment more affordable by either artificially lowering the interest rate or continuing to increase the loan term from 60 to 72 to 84 to 96 months. That's different than actually trying to make a vehicle that is more affordable from the jump. Okay. Yeah. So that's we are literally watching manufacturers kind of juggle affordability just through the payments when they need to actually make more affordable cars. That's just me. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time if I am.
Well, folks, if you're in the market for an affordable car or any vehicle, we're here to help you out. Please, folks, go check out CarEdge.com. Whether it be shopping for a new car, used car, using our car buying services, leveraging CarEdge Insights, our whole research center. We can help on the warranty front, tracking your vehicle value. We still have the AI negotiator. We don't even talk about that as much as we probably should. Learn more about how we are helping out tens of thousands of people every single month back at CarEdge.com. Pretty wild, Dad. Nearly 1 million people go to our website every single month. We appreciate all of you that support us. Dad, we're actually doing an interview here in just a couple minutes, about 15 minutes, with ABC in San Diego. Yes. And I think this week we're going to have an interview that I did last week up in New York going out. And then I think you're on ABC in Portland, Oregon too this week?
No, I was on ABC in Portland, Oregon last week or the week before. Friday, I'll be on an affiliate in Columbus, Georgia. So, we are, at the very least, we are kind of like horse poop. We are everywhere.
We're trying our best, folks. We appreciate all of you supporting us, tuning into the channel here, subscribing to the CarEdge Live channel, and really cool to see us getting more and more notoriety impressed. So thank you to everyone who supports us. That's all I had for today, Pops. We'll be back here with more CarEdge Live tomorrow. Looking forward to doing it again with you.
Absolutely. I think it should be another fun day tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you in about 15 minutes on another live stream somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, honey. Have a great rest of your day. I'll